Question. Imagine being completely alone, cut off from everything you know. How long before your mind starts playing tricks on you? Let's face it, the idea of being utterly alone is terrifying. Whether we admit it or not, the thought of being completely disconnected sends shivers down our spines. It evokes a primal fear that resonates deep within us, a fear of the unknown, a fear of losing our sanity. But have you ever wondered why this fear is so potent? Why does the prospect of isolation terrify us so much? Throughout history, humans have always sought connection and community. We are social creatures by nature, and our need for belonging is fundamental to our existence. From the earliest tribal days to modern society, our survival has depended on our ability to form bonds, to rely on one another for support and protection. So when we contemplate the idea of being thrown into a situation where we are completely alone, stripped away from the familiar faces and comforting voices that have been an integral part of our lives, it's natural to feel a surge of anxiety. But there's more to this fear than just a longing for companionship. There is a darker side to it, a side that delves into the depths of our psyche and confronts us with our most primal fears. When we are isolated, when we are cut off from the world and everyone in it, it's not just the physical absence of people that troubles us. It is also the profound sense of disconnection that seeps into our minds. We are not just missing something, we are losing something essential to our very being. And that loss can be devastating. It is in those moments of profound isolation that our minds begin to play tricks on us. Our thoughts twist and turn, creating illusions and weaving fantasies that become indistinguishable from reality. Our senses sharpen, picking up on every sound, every shadow, every creak and groan of the surroundings. The world around us seems to conspire against us, to isolate us further, to drive us to the brink of madness. Consider for a moment the haunting portrayal of loneliness in Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece The Shining. Jack Torrance, played with chilling intensity by Jack Nicholson, finds himself snowed in at the Overlook Hotel with his wife and son. As the isolation deepens, so does his descent into madness. The vast empty corridors of the hotel become his prison, its silence deafening, its emptiness all-consuming. We watch in suspense as Jack's sanity unravels thread by thread, driven to the edge by the crushing weight of solitude. Or think back to the Alien franchise and the iconic film Alien. The crew of the spaceship Nostromo is awakened from their cryosleep by a distress signal. What follows is a terrifying ordeal as they find themselves trapped in the labyrinthine corridors of the spaceship, hunted by a relentless alien creature. The enclosed space, the constant threat of death, the breakdown of communication, all these elements combine to create a sense of suffocating dread. The ship, which was supposed to be their means of transportation, becomes a floating tomb, a testament to the horrors of isolation and confinement. These are just two examples of how isolation is used as a tool to create terror in film and literature. In both cases, the setting plays a crucial role in driving the narrative forward. The desolate hotel, the claustrophobic ship, they become more than just backdrops. They transform into characters in their own right, reflecting the internal struggles of the characters and amplifying their fears. As we delve deeper into this topic, we'll explore other ways in which isolation is used to create psychological terror. We'll examine how authors, filmmakers, and game designers manipulate our deepest fears, how they create scenarios that test the limits of human endurance. Join me on this journey into the dark recesses of isolation and its impact on the human psyche. I will guide you through stories that will make you question the strength of your own mind, that will challenge your perceptions of reality and sanity. We often underestimate the profound effect that isolation can have on the human mind. We tend to think of ourselves as strong, resilient beings, capable of enduring any hardship life throws our way. But the truth is that isolation can be a far more devastating force than many of us realize. When we are cut off from the world, when we are deprived of human contact and the support that comes with it, our psyches begin to crack. Our thoughts turn against us, whispering doubts, amplifying fears and distorting our perception of reality. We become our own worst enemies, battling inner demons that emerge from the shadows of our minds. Think about the character of Chuck Noland, played by Tom Hanks in the film Cast Away, stranded on a desert island after a FedEx plane crashes. Chuck experiences a profound transformation. He battles the elements, fights for survival, and forms an unlikely bond with a volleyball named Wilson. As time passes, he becomes increasingly desperate for human contact. His sanity hangs in the balance as he grapples with loneliness, despair, and the crushing realization that he might never be rescued. In another unforgettable portrayal of isolation and madness, Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe star in the film The Lighthouse as two lighthouse keepers on a remote and desolate island. As they descend into madness, paranoia takes hold and the boundaries between reality and delusion become blurred. The oppressive atmosphere, the haunting imagery, and the mesmerizing performances capture the descent into madness with chilling accuracy. These are just two examples of how isolation can push individuals to the brink. In both cases, the characters are confronted with their own inner darkness, with the demons that lurk within their minds. The isolation, the lack of human connection, acts as a catalyst, bringing these internal struggles to the surface and transforming them into a horrifying spectacle. And it's not just in movies that this exploration of isolation and madness has taken place. Literature has long delved into the depths of the human psyche, exposing the fragility of our minds when confronted with prolonged isolation. Authors like Stephen King in The Shining and Herman Melville in Moby Dick have crafted tales that showcase the destructive power of isolation, the harrowing consequences of being utterly alone. In fact, let's take a closer look at the latter, Moby Dick. The story follows the obsessive quest of Captain Ahab to hunt down the white whale that took his leg. But beyond the epic adventure, there is a profound exploration of the dangers of isolation and the dark side of the human psyche. As the novel progresses, we witness the toll that the relentless pursuit of revenge takes on Captain Ahab. He becomes consumed by his obsession, losing sight of everything else in his life. The vastness of the ocean, the isolation at sea, and the constant battle with the elements serve to intensify his struggle, pushing him further and further toward madness. Then there's Stephen King's The Shining. King is a master of psychological horror, and in The Shining, he takes us on a terrifying journey into the mind of Jack Torrance. A recovering alcoholic and aspiring writer, Jack takes a job as a winter caretaker at the secluded Overlook Hotel, hoping to find peace and inspiration. But as the snow begins to pile up and the hotel's sinister history reveals itself, Jack's sanity starts to unravel. The isolation of the hotel, its labyrinthine hallways, and the unsettling presence of its past guests all contribute to his mental deterioration, blurring the lines between reality and fantasy. Both Moby Dick and The Shining demonstrate the profound impact of isolation on the human psyche. They show how the absence of human connection, the feeling of being utterly alone, can bring out the worst in people, driving them to the brink of madness. These stories remind us that isolation is not merely a physical state, but a psychological prison that can confine us in ways we never imagined. As we continue to explore the psychological terror of isolation in media, we will encounter more narratives that delve into the darkest recesses of the human mind. We will witness characters grappling with the horrors of isolation, confronting the monsters that emerge from the shadows of their own psyches. But before we move on, I want you to consider this. Why do these stories resonate with us so deeply? Why are we fascinated by tales of isolation and madness? Perhaps it's because in exploring these dark themes, we confront our own mortality, our own fears of losing our sanity, our own anxieties about the fragility of our existence. Or maybe it's because these stories offer us a safe way to experience the extremes of isolation and madness, allowing us to confront our fears and push the boundaries of our own resilience without actually having to endure the horrors depicted in these narratives. Whatever the reason these stories captivate us, leaving an indelible mark on our imaginations and challenging us to confront the darkest aspects of the human condition. Stay tuned as we continue to delve deeper into the psychological terror of isolation in media. Prepare to be confronted with stories that will challenge your perceptions, shatter your expectations, and leave you questioning the very nature of reality and the strength of the human mind. Until then, remember, sometimes the scariest monsters aren't lurking under your bed, but within the depths of your own soul when you are utterly, profoundly alone. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Your support means everything to us.